What's up, guys, and welcome back for another solo mining episode. We're going to be out here today with the Orca and the Mackinaw doing some good old-fashioned high-sec mining. We're also going to talk about some goals, short-term, long-term, maybe some stretch goals, and we're going to talk about ISK and also just kind of the career paths and how you can, keep yourself from being burnt out or plateau or whatever the case may be. So it's going to be a pretty good episode, and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and also make sure you're watching this in 4K if you're on your PC. We did some different things with this episode, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But if you're on mobile, if you're on cellular data, probably not a good idea. Save that data. My New Year's resolution is pretty simple, and my goal for this series for the channel, I want to have the best looking Eve content on YouTube, and I'm accomplishing that by doing a bunch of different things. One is running my clients in 4K at max settings, so the highest fidelity possible that Eve allows. I don't use FSR, so what I'm doing is the footage you're going to be seeing in this video is going to be a native 4K resolution at max settings, and I'm also recording it at a lossless compression, so very, very big file size. And in terms of this video, like 172 gigs just for the 40 or the 39 minutes of mining we're going to be doing today. And then on top of that, just when I go and render these videos, I'm rendering them at a very high bit rate. If you don't know what bit rate is, whenever you're watching anything on YouTube or especially on like Twitch, the higher your bit rate, the more clear the image is. If you watch streams that look really blocky, and things like that, especially during like high motion, that's usually caused, if not always caused, by low bit rate. And just to give you some comparison, if you do watch a lot of Twitch caps the streamer's bit rate at like 6 megabits per second. And for this series, I will be basically rendering these videos in 70 megabits per second. And a lot of that has to do with YouTube's bit rate requirements or bit rate recommendations. They recommend that these videos for 4K 60 frames per second come out to being about 68 megabits per second, which is like 62 megabits more than the Twitch cap. So this video is definitely a kind of a I'm testing a lot of this stuff, and before we can move completely into like the high fidelity content this year, a lot of things have to happen. I built a computer last year, a 13900K system that is meant to be paired with a 4090, an RTX 4090. I haven't gotten my 4090 yet. In the next the next month or so, I'm looking to try to acquire a 4090. It's been very difficult to do that, and the screen I'm also running too is I don't run like high refresh rate monitors. I have a 4K 60 hertz monitor because I do video creation, so I don't need 120 hertz or whatever. And with VSync on, that would cap the frames at 60 frames per second, which is perfectly fine for my purposes. It also allows for a card like the 4090. A lot of horsepower is left on the table to go into encoding. A lot of the purposes for me to have a 4090 is going to be for encoding, and so that there's very little latency or very little process time for high frames at high resolution. So that is one thing I'm going to be doing to increase quality this year, the 4090. I'm also upgrading to fiber internet because these videos, I'm going to try to do a solo mining video every day, not every couple days. A lot of that has to do with how long it takes to actually render and upload. Rendering, it takes very little time, even on a 3060 Ti. But uploading a 20 gig video takes some time when you're not on fiber. So that's going to be another upgrade I'm going to try to do, is getting fiber set up as well. I'm also planning on kind of redoing my camera setup here. I've been wanting to move to a DSLR setup with CamLink, run my camera at like 4K 30 or something. So a lot of things in the works, and I'm hoping that I can kind of have the quality for these episodes be close to where I want them. And then when I do make the upgrades to my computer and kind of the internet and all that stuff, then we'll be kind of off to the races and everything. So let me know in the comments how it looks. My goal is for it to be so I want it to be such high quality that if you're running it in like on a full screen on a monitor, you inadvertently try to rotate or zoom out the camera. That's how clear I want it to be. So I'll know. I won't know what YouTube's gonna do as far as the quality once I upload it. I'll know. If you're watching this, you probably already know. So hopefully they don't downgrade the image too much. But with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and start talking about the strategies and stuff with how I fleet mine, and talk about. I just want to talk about like the process of progressing in Eve. I know a lot of people end up quitting Eve when they reach certain plateaus, and there's ways to get around that and everything, and also just kind of talk about ISK a little bit. How important is it after a certain point? How much do you need? But if you've been watching this series for any amount of time, I am fun first when it comes to mining. Something I enjoy. I have plenty of ISK. I have no worries about running out of ISK, which I think triggers a lot of people. They see somebody like me who has hundreds of billions of ISK, and I'm out here in high seg mining, and they just it just baffles them. It's like they're like, why are you not out doing null seg wars and throwing your money away to these things that you don't care about? Like, why are you not doing that? So that's fun. I actually like the idea of people getting triggered by the fact that I have a crazy amount of resources, but I'm still here doing something that makes me happy and is something that I enjoy. So we'll keep on at it. All right, so I want to talk about the kind of the fleet mining strategy that you're going to be seeing in this video. I ever since onboard compression kind of came out, the meta has changed quite a bit. I mean, prior to having onboard compression, you'd have your Orca out there and all your miners around it. You'd be dumping ore into the Orca's fleet hangar, which isn't really you don't need to do that anymore. So what you're seeing here is I have my Orca out pretty far away from my Mackinaw, and that allows for the most expensive asset to essentially be further away from zero on the belt or the anomaly, wherever you're at. And it also kind of splits up the potential targets as well. There's no need for the Orca to be right on top of the Mackinaw. We're not using the fleet hangar because the Orca is going to be in siege. If anybody comes on grid, the Orca is probably going to be in siege still and won't be able to move. But the Mackinaw will be able to immediately get off grid, and if it's holding all the compressor oil that you've accumulated, that so far you can at least get what you've already worked for off grid with relative ease. Now, if I was going to run like 3 alts in an Orca, chances are how I'd do it is I'd have one on each side, on each end of the arc on the belt, and then I'd probably put one like in the middle. And then I would position the Orca where it's all the alts are in boost range, and then but still kind of far away from zero, and then just kind of rocket that way. The big benefit of doing it like that is, and one of the things you should be doing when you finish training your Orca or Porpoise pilot, is start focusing on the fleet command skills, the skills that allow the area of effect of your burst to be larger. So she's still working on a lot of her skills actually, but these alts, her alts can be 47k from her to still get the boost, and you could be anywhere within like 80k for the compression. So as her skills for area of effect for the burst increase, she can get pushed further and further away from the belt, so that, for instance, if a fleet of catalysts come in, they either have to go to they either have to pick the Mackinaw, or they have to burn out to the Orca if they want to take the Orca down. Or if you're running multiple alts and you have them spread out across the belt, they have to kind of split everything up a little bit. It's just another tactic for making yourself a hard target. It's probably not going to save you because they can move pretty fast in most cases, but the idea of having all of your alts separated and still doing what they need to do, to me in my brain, seems so much better than having all your alts in a tight little group. that just seems like a really easy way to get a lot of crossover damage and just be inconvenience people as much as possible that want to grief you and things like that. So yeah, she just kind of pointed out somewhere, and I want to say like I try to get out close to the max for the area of effect range. So for instance, what I would do probably is with 3 alts, I put one on each, like I said, one on each of the ends of the arc, and then one in the middle. And then I would sort their mining window, so they at the top of the list would be what's closest to them. So each alt would basically be mining what's close to them and outward, right? That way there's no crossover, no one's hitting the same rocks until the very, very end. And also what I'm doing here is normally I've been going after Veldspar pretty strictly, but I'm going to try to just, since we're moving more into like the fleet mining and stuff, I'm just going to be clearing belts, I'm trying to just collect ore, just try to have everything, a little of everything. My goal is still to just save everything this year and see how much we can stockpile. I am renting an office in the NPC station in this system that just allows for easy ore and asset storage. It's crazy to me, like it seems like the office rental fee has gone up substantially in NPC stations. It's ridiculous. I think I'm paying like 38 million a month. I want to say it used to be like 6, which is insanity. But yeah, that's my strategy. That's what I'm doing here. All right, the big topic I wanted to kind of talk about today is just kind of careers and career progression in EVE Online and how to keep yourself from plateauing or hitting a spot that you have nowhere to go, or you feel like you have nowhere to go and you end up like burning yourself out or whatever. And I'm going to speak from experience here because when I first started playing and I got into mining, loved it. I had a ton of mining skills to train. I had all these mining ships that I could eventually get into. And then when I got into basically training into the Oracle, at that point I was already in an Orca and I had a few alts already in Exhumers. I started to look, I'm like, well, what happens after I get into the Oracle, max all that out? All I really have left is getting repros skills for crystals kind of maxed out for the different ore types, but like where does it go from there? Does it just stop there? There are a lot of careers, or there's a lot of activities in EVE that you cap out on sooner than others, right? And so I asked people I knew, I'm like, well, what happens after you max everything out? And the general response to my question was, well, you just keep mining. You just go out there and you mine every day and you just stack ISK. And I'm like, well, what is that ISK for? Like, what are we doing with it? What's the enjoyment? And because I was having so much fun like tracking and learning skills, and every time you would get into a new ship, like every time when you unlocked expeditionary frigates, it was exciting. When you finally got into Exhumers, it was exciting. And then when you started training into the command ships and bringing building your mining fleet up, it was exciting and stuff like that. And after a while, when you had unlocked all the ships and you got all the skills, it was like, well, what's left other than just going out to the same belts every day? And that's how a lot of people burn out and quit. And that's not just in terms of mining either. That's like every career. If you're doing missions, you finally grind up to like level 4s and you're like, what's left? Because the journey to that point was exciting because you were unlocking ships, you were unlocking abilities and skills through skill training until eventually you kind of reach the top, and then you're like, well, now all that's left is just grinding. So a lot of people end up getting demotivated. They lose their motivation. They get burnt out because they just they don't know how to do anything else, right? So, and I think the caveat to this is like all careers in EVE don't necessarily stop at one career path capping out. So it took me a long time to realize this, but eventually I figured out how to like kind of keep my career as an industrialist progressing. For the longest time, I identified myself as a miner. Somebody's like, hey, what do you do in EVE? I was like, oh, I'm a miner. In more recent history, if you ask me what I am in EVE, I'm kind of everything. But I think a better definition of what my career is an industrialist. It doesn't stop at mining. When you get to that point where there's no more mining skills, to train. There's no more mining ships to get into or mining modules to upgrade to. Like, you start branching out at that point. If you, like, for instance, if you jumped into manufacturing day one, you'd be absolutely overstimulated. You'd be drowning in information, and it would probably force you to quit or change what you do in the game. So I think mining is a good place to start when you start getting to that point where you don't really have a whole lot more to improve upon. Then you start getting into PI. You start learning the PI skills. You start learning PI techniques and strategies, and you set that infrastructure up, and that feeds into the industrialist career. And then from there, you start training into the manufacturing skills, and you start looking at BPOs and BPCs, and start researching and figuring out like what would be good to build based on what you have on hand, or what stock or what minerals you're able to accumulate. And you kind of slowly, every time you kind of get to a point where you feel like you trained everything for a certain thing, you kind of just branch out. So the career path for like anything in EVE is not necessarily a straight line, but instead it's like kind of like a tree branch. You might hit the cap on mining, but then that trails off onto PI or manufacturing, and you kind of just keep pushing yourself up. If you just decided, I'm not going to do PI, I'm not going to do manufacturing, I'm not going to do anything else in the industrial space in EVE, just mining, then yes, you're going to, in the first 6 months of playing, you're probably, if not less, if you use large skill injectors, it might be less, you're going to hit the point where you have max miners, you have max alts, all you have left to do is just go out and mine, and that's a good way to burn yourself out. Because you no longer have exciting milestones that you did when you first started mining. Keeping those milestones active in other ways. That's why I'm so big on PI. Like, I could just do PI full time. Like, I just love it. But diversity in EVE is so important, so fundamentally important. Being able to log in and just decide, okay, what do I feel like doing today? Do I want to mine? If I do, what do I mind? I could do ore. I could do ice. I could do gas. I could do Mercoxis. Or maybe I don't mind at all. Maybe I go and do some PI. Or I go play with my my progress bars, check my research on my BPOs and stuff. I guess the moral of the story really is find your happy place. EVE is very much a marathon. If you make the mistake of using large skill injectors to push yourself to a certain spot, you gotta be prepared to kind of like get ready to go to the next step of your career or whatever the case may be sooner than what would be naturally expected. And it kind of leads me into like my next thought of talking about goals, short-term, long-term, even stretch goals. Making realistic goals for yourself. And there's a big difference between like goals and like challenges, right? So for instance, this series started off as a alpha tune in a venture and mining in high sec to pay for that first month of Omega. Now, while that can be considered a goal, it was also just a challenge, right? And the big difference between those and how I kind of separate that in my mind is like, a goal is something that you kind of have for your current infrastructure, your current operation that you try to accomplish, maybe every month or every week or every day or whatever. Like, that's very realistic. A challenge is something you're probably not going to do a whole lot over maybe the first time, and it would be something interesting to like try. So to kind of put that in more perspective, let's talk about like manufacturing. Let's say that somebody is they're setting a goal for themselves, and let's say they're like, I want to make X amount of mobile tractor units a week, right? That while that's a really good goal, you could potentially run into problems because there's a lot of things that go into mobile tractor units, like PI, like tier 4 PI, and a lot of different other things as well. And it could be you could get very burnt out because then you're dictating what you need to do every single day that you log in to meet that goal. So I prefer goals like maybe something like, I'm going to mine for like 30 minutes or an hour today, or I'm going to go and maybe do a one over on my PI and make sure everything is running correctly, or something like that. Don't let you want to have the option. You want to have the ability to log in, and depending on your mood and what you feel like doing, go out and do that and have fun doing it. And then all the byproducts that come from that, all of the things that, if you go out and moon mine, all of that stuff you got from moon mining, it eventually can, feed into maybe, doing some reactions or something down the road. But just keeping everything at a very realistic level and keeping the fun in it is very, very important. And then, be open to learn new things. And that's the thing, is eventually your character's going to get to the point where you can do so many different things. You can do exploration, ratting, mission running, PI, manufacturing, all the different types of mining or DD sites, or you're going to get to the point where you're very, very diversified, and the game just opens up to you, because you've learned so many different disciplines, and you've given yourself so many options, which is what I had to do. I was very, very much strictly just a miner back in the day. Like, if I didn't feel like mining, then there was no point in playing the game, because I didn't know how to do anything else, or I didn't have the skills or the ships, the knowledge to do anything else. And it was at that point when I decided to take a month and do ratting or exploration or PI, when I really started to give myself knowledge on different aspects of the game, that it allowed me to be able to log in every day, or maybe not every day, but when you log in and play, you're able to do something that you enjoy, and you don't pigeonhole yourself into any one kind of activity. So yeah, just stretch goals are cool too. I mean, stretch goals can be just really kind of open-ended. Like, I would say right now our short-term goal is probably just to build up our mining gear inventory, and then our long-term goal is just to have fun, I guess, and just kind of enjoy the time that we're mining. My stretch goal is essentially just seeing how much compressed ore we can stockpile in a year. All right, let's talk about ISK, that good old money. This is a very difficult topic for me, because my goal, one of my biggest goals in EVE, is actually just tracking net worth and just watching the wallet grow. But it's also a very big trap you can fall into if you worry too much about ISK per hour and try to validate your existence based on that. And ISK per hour in EVE should be used as a metric to give some validity to the activity that you're currently trying to research, right? It validates, it can validate your time, but it doesn't necessarily allow you to have fun, because if you go after the big ISK per hour activities, you can get burnt out really, really quick, especially if it's something that you don't enjoy. And that's just how that goes. It's like, if you don't enjoy running rat anomalies, like combat anomalies ad nauseum, even though it's a really good ISK per hour per se compared to what you're currently doing, you probably are not going to get the reported ISK per hour that other people who do enjoy it are getting, because you're just not going to be, your heart's not going to be in it. It's going to feel very grindy. It's going to feel like a slog. You're going to be walking through mud on that. So my best advice is just try to look at ISK per hour things as kind of just a baseline metric to give you an idea of income for that. When you start trying that activity, if you don't enjoy it, don't beat yourself up about not doing it. You'll make more ISK overall doing something that you love, that you can sustain, than doing something that you hate. That's just the way that it goes, and it's the way you kind of have to look at it. Yeah, mining in high sec is not as good as doing R64 moon mining in nullsec. Everybody knows that. Not everybody has access to R64 moons in nullsec. And even if they did, they probably don't want to go through the trouble of jumping through all the loopholes to get access to something like that, whether it be dealing with the politics out there, or constantly dealing with drama from either a corporation or an alliance. There's multiple reasons why something that is really good is per hour might not be the best for you, because of just other things that either turn you off about the idea or whatever. The reason I enjoy high seg mining is because I can be solo and I don't have to worry about anybody else. I can play at my own pace, and that's another big thing too, being able to dictate your own time. A big issue I had in nullsec and being part of an alliance was people wanting to dictate your training queue, people wanting to tell you how to spend your time in game. And I guess at a certain point that was like the catalyst of what kind of caused me to shift strictly into like solo play. It was those situations where it was happening to me, it was happening to other people I knew, and my stance on it was, if you're not paying for my Omega, then you cannot tell me how to spend the time in game. And if that means not being a part of this alliance or not being a part of this corporation, so be it. Because I'm going to do what I want, I'm going to have fun regardless of what other people say, period. That was the mindset I essentially took, that eventually has propelled me into this like solo lifestyle. And that's the other thing too, is like last episode I talked about the question of whether should you join a corporation or just play solo. And I'm telling you, in most cases you can join a corporation, you can join a big alliance, and you're gonna eventually, if not very very soon after, look around and see yourself as like, yeah, I'm just solo. I joined this big alliance, went out to the nullsec and it was all cool. They were like very happy to have me, teach me and show me doctrines and all that. And then after a couple of days, it was like, whatever. You log in and you're like, what's up, everybody? Anybody doing anything? Nope, no one's doing anything. And then you're out doing solo stuff, right? Being a part of a corporation or alliance, does not make you not solo. So much of this game is solo driven, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. And a lot of my content, being solo focused, is because I know that for a fact. Like, whether or not you believe it, or whether or not you're in a situation where it feels that way yet, eventually you're going to get to a point where you're going to be doing everything in this game by yourself. Especially as you train more alts and you get more diversity, and you're able to do things in, like, once you are able to facilitate your own fun and you're able to pay for or have enough ISK income to do the things that you want to do, and you don't have to rely on people, you're going to soon realize I don't have to go on these annoying fleets that it takes 45 minutes for everybody to show up first to even like start jumping. Your time is worth more than that, and that's what happened to me. I didn't want to sit there for 40 minutes waiting for people who knew about a fleet ping for 7 days to not show up on time and just waste my time. And that's a big driving factor in getting being self-sufficient, doing everything on your own terms. And that's a very empowering thing when you start getting to the point where you can take care of yourself 100% and you don't have to rely on a corporation or an alliance. Then the game just becomes infinitely more fun. And I think a lot of like salty people that you'll see either in the comment section on YouTube or on Reddit who are talking about that EVE is boring and it drove them away, chances are they got into the game, got into a corporation, got told what to do, it was something they didn't want to do, and they eventually just quit instead of having a brain of their own and going out and doing their own thing. Because for some reason people think that you can't be solo in an MMO. It's a multiplayer online experience and you can't be solo. That is absolutely not true at all. When I played WoW, I was solo. Actually, pretty much every online game I've played, I've just facilitated everything myself, and the social aspect was there. I'm able to go out and hang out with friends and do occasional things that aren't tied directly to what I feel like is an accomplishment for the day or a goal like EVE. If I want to go out and play with friends that I know in Eve, I can do that, but it's not something that I have to rely on. I don't have to rely on other people. And it sounds bad, but it's like everybody has alternating schedules. Everybody is online at different times. Everyone is got their own stuff going on in real world. So it's like, if you're able to just kind of move your progression forward on your own without relying on other people, when those people are online and you feel like hanging out with them and you could do stuff that's off the books, essentially, it makes those social encounters a lot better. When you know, waiting on that roam to start when you've already accomplished what you wanted to that day isn't so bad. But if you have to, I'm telling you, if you have to rely on other people in gaming these days, it sucks the fun out of so much. And we're not just talking about Eve, we're talking about anything. If you go play any game and your entire existence in that game, all your goals, everything that you want to do hinges on whether or not people are available or things, have to line up with individuals showing up. It gets really unfun really, really fast. And that is like, if there's anything I would try to like teach people, it's like become self-sufficient. Because, and that not just in gaming, but it's just like in life in general, like the less you have to, rely on others, generally the better you're going to be. Doesn't mean you have to like not have friends or not hang out with anybody. You can hang out and, do stuff with people but try not to like tie it to like the things you're trying to accomplish and everything. And a lot of the people I know in Eve kind of understand this about me. If they see me come around and I'm like, hey, you guys want to do something, they know I'm just out for fun and stuff. And it's just kind of how I've structured everything, and I've had great success with this. I've had infinitely more fun in the game once I decided to kind of take on a lot of the responsibilities of my enjoyment for myself. Also, don't let ganking or losing ships affect you too much. It happens, like everything. You just things you can't control. And in terms of just like being a miner, being an industrialist, and keeping an adequate balance of ISK on hand, I usually recommend people just keep enough ISK on hand to kind of replace their kind of daily drivers if something crazy happens, and then just keep mining. Like, the biggest goal for me and with this series is to motivate people to get out there and just have fun. Get out there and turn lasers on, and regardless of the risk of getting ganked or losing a ship, just people have been ganking miners and ganking industrialists since the beginning, and it hasn't stopped us then. It didn't stop us then. It's not going to stop us now or in the future. They're going to go blow up their little ship. They're going to get the little dopamine hit, and then we're going to replace our ships, and guess what? We're going to turn our lasers right back on, and we're going to keep it moving because we enjoy it. It's what we do. And like I know I talk about a lot of things like goals and trying to avoid burnout and things like that, but really, once you kind of understand kind of the way that Eve works, and once you understand that it's kind of a long-term investment, the whole marathon not a sprint kind of thing, it really kind of helps a lot of people out. Slow down, enjoy the journey. It's all about the journey, and every time you just keep learning, just never stop learning. And there's like days where I'll sit there and I'll mine like crazy in high sec and absolutely enjoy it. Yeah, I might only like go out, mine like 11 million in compressed value, and people watching would be like, that sucks. That absolutely sucks. But for me, it felt accomplished. I got out there, I turned lasers on, I ate some rocks, and I threw it on the stockpile. That's another thing for me too, is it's like one of my big motivations. I just like collecting stuff, especially in Eve. Collecting a lot of units of something, just stockpiling for no good reason. I want that station to sit a little lower when I'm done, by adding all those rocks in there and everything. And moving forward, we're just going to explore as much as we can in this series in terms of mining industrial. And I know I call the series solo mining, but really it's like solo industrialist, solo whatever. But we're just gonna continue to get those lasers on, get motivated, build stuff, and just have fun with the entire game. And that's really all we need to accomplish. In terms of like the goals moving forward for me, in the next like week or so, I'm gonna try to do as many of these episodes as possible. I'm gonna try to get to the point where we're doing daily episodes every day, and I will kind of like start buying like mining gear, kind of periodically as we progress. I don't want to go out and just blanket purchase a bunch of stuff. And let me know in the comments if you guys enjoy seeing me spin disc. I know it's a really weird thing to ask, but it's like some people like just really enjoy watching somebody just buy stuff. But we do have Hulks, we do have Mackinaws on hand, we do have the Orca. So I think probably next episode we'll probably like really just focus down on trying to like just burn an entire belt. And I think that might be like the more or less the episodic goal is to go out there, burn a belt, chat about industrial related stuff, mining related stuff. And my major goal this year is to focus on this series and really try to like my full focus being on solo mining. And I want to motivate you guys that are already out there mining and just need somebody to be chatting in your ear about the stuff that you enjoy. I know it helps immensely. I know whenever I started playing, I didn't have a lot of information. A lot of the information and all the stuff I was learning was from other people and stuff. And like one of the biggest reasons I got into doing EVE Online content was because when I was trying to learn stuff and I was online on YouTube, either everything was like either there was no information to be found or it was insanely outdated. And that's been my major goal with this channel, with this content, is to try to like bring as much relevant, up-to-date information to you guys as possible. And also I just noticed that like when I watch like most of the things that I watch on YouTube is like really horrible quality. Either people are like recording videos in potato mode or their UI is a mess. I mean, there's no reason to have your chat window like 1/4 of your screen, and it's just like I really want to up the quality of this content. And if I accomplish absolutely nothing except for motivating people and getting people excited for mining with this series, then that is perfectly fine with me. That is like my end all be all goal, is to see excitement in the comments when it comes to mining, and also just being able to share things that I enjoy. A lot of people out there aren't able to actually like talk about the things that they enjoy in terms of their hobbies with people in their lives. They might be on an island and they might not be able to turn to their spouse or their siblings and talk about the things that they enjoy, so they repress all of that, and that can really damper or put a damper on expression and enjoyment. So that is probably another reason why I do this series, because I enjoy doing industrial stuff in EVE so much, but I want to be able to just share what my experience is and share the things that I enjoy with others, like finding your tribe. And the thing that I love about the miner mindset, the miner players in EVE, is they're very much a tribe. You find a good mining corporation, everybody's got like the same kind of goals and the same kind of enthusiastic spirit, and it's a great thing to be a part of. I can't say the same, and for my experiences, I can't say the same in terms of like PvP or even ratting or mission running. A lot of that stuff ends up being very try-hardy-ish. And probably one of my biggest probably my biggest draws to being a miner in EVE Online was just the camaraderie that is, so apparent here. But I want to thank you guys for watching this episode today. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let me know in the comments, any thoughts that you have. Let me know what you think about the quality of this episode. It took a long time to get this one up because of just the amount of detail I put into everything. But yeah, until next time, fly safe and peace out.